Apple winding down its electric car effort, and CNBC's Steve Kovach joins us now at the table with more on all of it. What happened?
Yes, scrapping plans, hitting the brakes, whatever metaphor you want to use. But look, this is all coming, Andrew, after about a decade and billions of dollars in spending. Bloomberg, of course, first broke that news last night. It's been since confirmed all over the place. Look, this decision comes after years of leadership changes and deviations from the original dream Apple had of a self-driving electric car. They were calling it Project Titan internally, with no steering wheel or gas pedals. At one point, Apple even thought it could start selling its car by 2020. Projects created a revolving door, though, because between talent from Tesla and Apple attracted executives from traditional car companies as well, GM, BMW, and the like. But look, nothing has ever shipped in the last decade from this group, and many top execs bolted after just a few years. The last project leader, that was Doug Field. He's famous for making the Tesla Model 3. He left Apple for Ford in 2021, and most recently, the group was run by Kevin Lynch. He was originally hired by Apple to make the Apple Watch. His job is changing now, by the way. He's going to start reporting to Apple's AI boss, John Giannandrea, also known as JG internally. But look, now this is over. The group of approximately 2,000 employees working on this will be effective. Presumably, many of those focused on the car, the hardware of the car engineering, they're likely out of a job. But if there is one bright spot for Apple here, we've been talking about this all morning, some of that talent is going to be moved over to that John Giannandrea group to work on artificial intelligence. And speaking of AI, let's talk about what Tim Cook said in 2017, calling the company's self-driving car project, quote, the mother of AI projects. So there are several ways to look at this. I'll give you two. How about this? The realization that it's better to focus the investment on the technology that's happening today, that would of course be AI, instead of chasing a highly regulated and low profit margin market like the auto market. And perhaps all that time and money spent on self-driving, the AI can apply to whatever magic AI thing Apple is going to be working on and expected to announce later this year. Or you can just look at this as a straight up blunder and Apple's failed attempt to disrupt what Morgan Stanley analysts had been calling to this entire journey a $10 trillion industry that Apple could have tapped into. I think Morgan Stanley was saying they just had to capture 2% of that $10 trillion, bigger than the iPhone business.
So do you look at this as a failure? I mean, we were talking about all of the other things that happened in the last couple of years that they got out of it, right? I mean, they were working on this, not just the EV part of it, but remember, they were trying to do mapping. They actually got maps out of it. They're now in the CarPlay in 98% of cars. I think
something like that. You can't rent or buy a car without CarPlay.
And I was basically making the argument that the entire time that they were going this route, they were basically hedging the whole effort.
It's possible, but I mean, you got to look at it in the other way too. They hired real car engineers to work on this. They wanted to build an actual car, and that shifted so many times. Look, I remember Elon Musk saying Tesla's robotaxis are coming next year. That was 5 years ago. So no one has figured this out yet. Waymo, they were early on this. They haven't figured it out. Why spend all that effort putting something that just continues to be 5 to 10 years away?
Right. Do you believe when they say they're, redeploying the resources towards AI? Is that just something you say in this environment where if you just say the words AI anything?
You have to say it. And look at Kevin Lynch, the executive who I mentioned, who was in charge of the project up until yesterday, really. He was there for the Apple Watch, and now he's almost been demoted or maybe sidestepped now. He's reporting under this AI group. It sounds like the move, why let those software engineers go to Microsoft or a competitor, let them work on AI? The real question is, can those learnings that they did, what Cook called the mother of all AI projects, can that be translated to whatever they're going to announce for some kind of AI iOS version that might come this summer?
I think that's the bigger question. And I don't think that Apple is saying that they're deploying resources to AI just for like window dressing purposes, because Apple's never been on that bandwagon. I mean, as all of the other big cap tech stocks have said, AI this, AI that, Apple's not done that yet. And so everybody's waiting for June for the developers conference. Do you get any sense that Apple is ready for prime time? I mean, in terms of an AI offering, that's what investors want.
And you got to get. So I was talking to Tim Cook with Jim Cramer on their earnings report just a couple weeks ago, and this is the AI story he's been hammering for the last year and a half as we talk about this. It's built into so many of their products already. Whatever Apple shows on the iPhone that's doing some new AI stuff, we've seen it from Samsung, we've seen it from Huawei and Honor. That stuff has been going on forever. They're just labeling it different. But then the question becomes, is it more of like a marketing thing, kind of like 5G was? Remember the 5G iPhone came out and everyone started upgrading.
So you don't believe that we're going to learn in June or July.
Oh, I do believe.
No, that there's going to be something that's going to feel very much like I can talk to Chat. I talk to ChatGPT right now. The problem with ChatGPT is it can't really go access all of my different apps.
Oh, 100%.
There's no API for it to really do all of the things that I want it to do. Do you think that this will be able to do that, or do you think that they're just so far behind in terms of being able to build effectively a large language model of their own that can actually do all these things?
It's relatively easy. The photos is such an easy place to talk about, Andrew. So they've been doing this AI stuff for photos for years and years and years. Every time you take a picture with your iPhone, AI is happening to make the picture look better, to get it in focus, and so forth. They're just going to add more to that, I believe. Or you can do something like you said, I'll take a photo of the three of you, and I say remove Joe from the photo to make it look better.
Wow, that's really something we could do.
Yeah.
So
wow.
So the
my
selfies are already trying to.
Yeah, they make you.
So this is
they
me
jazz you
looking
up.
better.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah,
but I don't want that. I want to be able to say, make the reservation for whatever, and then it's going to go into OpenTable, and just it's going to go do it.
Yes. That's the hope.
And right now, if you say, if you ask Siri to do that, or even if you ask Siri to make a count, put something in your calendar half the time,
score of the Mets
it won't necessarily do that. You think that's?
I think that's more of the kind of thing we're going to see in June or in next iteration of iOS.
Do you believe they're building their own behind-the-scenes large language model?
They've talked about it, and in fact, they're doing public research in this. So I mean, they have their models out there.
How far behind do you think they are?
That is unclear. What I really want to know is how much they're spending on NVIDIA
chips.
And that is what this CapEx now that they're not spending on the car. How much of that is going to go into generative AI? Because, like I said earlier, that is the technology of now. The car thing has never panned out for anyone, not just Apple, for Waymo, you name it. No one's been able to really do it. There have been a lot of promises. This is happening now. This is achievable now. That's what they're focusing on.